to you live from Oakland, California. And I want to make sure send a special shout out to all the people of the Bay Area, all the people of Oakland, San Francisco, and yeah, by the time you get this, uh, there is going to be a debate between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, and we want to make sure that we provided you with enough information about Donald Trump for you to be fully aware of who he is. I don't think the media does a good enough job of authentically covering this individual. And so this is week 5 of 14 where I find articles that I want to share with you and gain information from the articles to share with you, to share my thoughts in the process. Okay? So we have 5 articles from the New York Times that we're going to be previewing, and I thought you should be aware of them. They all have a relationship with Donald Trump or his upcoming or his 2024 presidential election. All right, so let's just get into it. The first we have is an opinion piece. This is an opinion piece or a guest essay from Juliana Glover. She's the chief executive of Ridgely Wash, which is a corporate consultancy and a former advisor to many Republican officials. So when I say many Republican officials, I'm going to be more specific. She was a former advisor to George W. Bush, Dick Cheney, Steve Forbes, and Rudy Giuliani. So this person pretty much knows what they're talking about. And the question is, these Republican donors, do you know where your money goes? Okay. So let me share with you my screen. Okay. So as you can see, this is the article here. This picture is quite interesting, right? Because here is the outline. Oh, it's the outline of Donald Trump. See his hair, right? And the idea is like you're pumping in money, supposed to be pumping in money for a campaign, but it seems like it's going directly to him. Um, so let's see. So first paragraph. We long ago blew past any meaningful controls on political giving in American elections. Now we should focus on the rules governing political spending, which are in equally terrible shape, for that we can blame the Trump campaign and the federal government's feeble enforcement efforts. Interesting. All right. Okay, so it's talking about much of the money donated to the Trump campaign went to a legal and financial black hole, reportedly controlled by Trump family members and close associates. This year's campaign disclosure is shaping up to be the same. So 516 million was spent in the 2020 election of the over 780 million spent by the Trump campaign was directed to American-made media consultants, a Delaware-based private company created in 2018 that masked the identities of who ultimately received donor dollars. Interesting. All but 18 of the 150 largest expenditures on the Trump campaign's 2020 FEC report went to AMNC, American Media. What is AMNC again? American-made media consultants. That's it right here. That is AMMC. And so all but 18 of the 115 largest expenditures on the Trump campaign's 2020 FEC report went to American made media consultants. None of the expenses were itemized or otherwise explained, aside from anodyne descriptions, including placed media and SMS advertising and online advertising. So their first president was reported to be Laura Trump, the wife of Mr. Trump's son Eric. The New York Times reported that ANMC had a treasurer who was also the chief financial officer of Mr. Trump's 2020 presidential campaign. Mr. Trump is now a coach. Ms. Trump is now a co-chair of the Republican National Committee. But soon after arrival, announced it would link up with the Trump campaign for joint fundraising. Oh man, they are doing some shady ass shit. This election, the Trump campaign and four of its PACs have paid Red Curve Solutions, another private company, at least $18 million. Oh my God. What percentage of donor contributions go to lawyers defending Trump? That's all that's happening. He's literally using all your campaign donations and using it for his legal expenses. In June, NBC revealed the existence of a new mystery company called Launchpad Strategies. It took in almost 15 million Trump political cash via the Trump Save America Joint Fundraising Committee and the Trump National Committee. Little is known about the group. It was created in 2023, and the campaign says it is related to fundraising, but we don't know who owns it, who runs it, or where the 15 million went. Man. Okay, to be fair, it seems like Biden spent money in smaller quantities on legal bills. Okay, we spent $1 million on the probing of the president's handling of classified documents. Okay. Hmm. Brad Pascal, whose strategy firm took in 94 million from Trump-affiliated groups in 2016 campaign, spent every cent of that to re-elect the president. He seems to have paid himself handsomely. He bought a $2.4 million Fort Lauderdale waterfront property, a BMW X6, a Range Rover, and a Ferrari. Who is this dude? Brad Parscale? His strategy firm? Hmm. Donors should demand more for information about how their money is spent. True. Um, if Vice President Kamala Harris opens up her lead in the polls and the odds fall that Mr. Trump could win, who would be surprised if the unknown owners of the mystery companies paid themselves more while the campaign spigots are blasting cash in future uncertain? And the future uncertain. Hmm. That's interesting. All right, we really don't know where your money is going. So, be careful if you're donating to Trump. Let's see. So, um, the next article I want to address, or concern I want to address, is Elon Musk. Um, so, you may not know this, but he is actually banned in Brazil. And it seems as though Brazil blocked um, X after Musk ignores court orders. I mean, if you're ignoring a court order, like, don't expect, you should expect to be banned. I'm thinking Elon Musk's ideas and his, you know, buffoonery just is serious in other countries. Like, they don't allow you to just say and do whatever you want, and your money means nothing to them. And I think he just thinks his influence because of his money and his connection with Tesla is just going to, and then now he's his platform X that he bought from Jack Dorsey, this idea that he's going to now have a voice that can be amplified to say whatever he wants. And it just doesn't cut it, you know? Like there are actual standards in some countries, unlike ourselves, right? So let's see. Um, X began to go dark across Brazil on Saturday after the nation's Supreme Court blocked the social network because its owner, Elon Musk, refused to comply with court orders to suspend certain accounts. Ooh, see, I didn't know that. Hmm. Alexandre de Moraes, a Brazilian Supreme Court justice, ordered Brazil's telecom agency to block access to X across the nation of 200 million because the company lacked a physical presence in Brazil. Hmm. Mr. Musk closed X's office in Brazil last week after Judge Morales threatened arrest for ignoring his orders to remove X accounts that he said broke Brazilian laws. In the highly unusual move, Justice Moraes also said that any person in Brazil who tried to still use X via common privacy software called a VPN, virtual private network, could be fined nearly 9,000 a day. Wow. He also froze the finances of a second Musk business in Brazil, SpaceX's Starlink satellite internet service, to try to collect the $3 million in fines he has levied against X. Interesting. In this order, Justice Morris said Mr. Musk was an outlaw who intended to allow the massive spread of disinformation, hate speech, and attacks on the democratic rule of law, violating the free choice of the electorate by keeping voters away from real and accurate information. That's so true. So Musk says he might be losing money in the short term, but he's gaining. Oh no, Luca Belli, a professor at FGV Law School in Rio, who has tracked Mr. Musk's strategy with X, said he must be losing money in the short term, but he's gaining enormous political capital. Good. But the longer the blackout on X lasts, the more it will test Mr. Musk's commitment to his ideology at the expense of revenue, market share, and influence. Brazil is ranked, since 2022, Brazil ranked fourth globally with more than 25 million downloads of the X app. Damn. X's international business has become more important under Mr. Musk as U.S. advertisers have fled the site. So, because of an increase in hate speech and misinformation since Mr. Musk bought it. Also, he relies on international funds. Interesting. X was to follow the law where it operates. That's not true. Under his leadership, X has compiled with demands from the Indian government to withhold accounts and removed links to a BBC documentary that painted a critical portrait of Modi. That's what's wrong with painting a critical portrait of Modi. Few people have had a larger singular impact on what is said online in recent years than the Brazilian judge. He has emerged as one of Brazil's most powerful and polarizing figures after the country's Supreme Court enshrined him with expansive powers to crack down on threats to democracy online. Good, amid fears about a far-right movement led by Jair Bolsonaro, Brazil's former president. Interesting. So, so since 2022, he's been really holding people to the fire. He's led criminal investigations into Mr. Bolsonaro and voted to deem the former president ineligible to run in Brazil's next presidential election. Those efforts have made Justice Morales a hero of Brazil's left and number one enemy of Brazil's right. But I'm trying to figure out what were those sites that he mentioned. Several authoritarian governments have banned X, including China, wow, Russia, Iran, and North Korea. Most extreme traditions that preserve blocked it online. Wow. All right. Well, that's a wrap for those two articles. I think the most important thing is I didn't know that Brazil was like number 4 in the country in terms of downloads of X. And yeah, Elon, if you are relying on foreign revenue because you're getting criticized too much in the States, then you should make a decision. And you shouldn't lose that much money. That's crazy. All right, let's move on. This is insane. All right. So remember, there's an aide to Donald Trump who abruptly pushed aside an Arlington cemetery official. The statement from the Army is the first detailed description of an altercation that took place on Monday as Mr. Trump appeared for a wreath-laying ceremony. All right. So this is Section 60 at Arlington Cemetery. The final resting place of military members killed in America's longest and most recent wars. In Afghanistan and Iraq. I guess the question is, how are they able to get a picture then? Because you're not supposed to take a picture in Section 60. So the Army on Thursday defended an official at Arlington National Cemetery who was physically pushed by a member of former President Donald Trump's campaign after the official sought to stop the campaign from filming in a heavily restricted area of the cemetery. Wow. Trump campaign had been aware of the federal law that the federal law prohibits filming for political purposes at part of the cemetery, and it criticized the campaign for publicly insulting the official in a statement after the fact. An ANC employee who attempted to ensure adherence to these rules was abruptly pushed aside, consistent with the decorum expected at ANC. This employee acted with professionalism and avoided further disruption. I don't know. Like if I'm there for, these former servicemen, I mean, I'm gonna be professional, but still, like, shouldn't you hold them accountable, right? Like, I guess if you're defending a cemetery and you're representing the U.S. military, I would assume enforcement would have showed up and you would just kick Trump out. I just don't understand how that was handled. The official who was pushed filed a report but declined to press charges. Why are we declining to press charges? Military officials said they feared that the employee would face retaliation from Trump supporters. See, that's that white, fragility that you aren't going to press charges and you represent the U.S. military because you're afraid of the retaliation from Trump supporters, but yet Trump supporters are supposed to be pro-military and pro-police. Why is the Defense Department not pursuing the incident any further? It's because it would seem like it's political. And if you did pursue it, Trump would only verbally you know, reframe it as these people are just attacking me. I don't understand it. The U.S. military, the U.S. Army, can completely throw Kaepernick under the bus and can completely disassociate themselves from, Jonathan Majors. But when it comes to Donald Trump desecrating an actual cemetery, we still can't stand up to him. And he's never served. Something just ain't right. Um, the FBI and the Justice Department are not investigating the incident. When the incident was first made public by NPR on Tuesday, Mr. Cheung accused the woman, who has not been identified but was described as a seasonal official at the cemetery, of suffering a mental health episode. That's so wrong. Chris La Civita, top advisor for the Trump campaign, said in his own statement on Tuesday that the cemetery official was a despicable individual who was spreading lies and disarming the men and women of our armed forces. I don't want to hear what Corey Lewandowski has to say or what he did. Um, Charles Iacano, the head of the Green Beret Foundation, a charity foundation that established a fund for suicide prevention in Sergeant Mark Kisano's name, said in a statement that every soul laid to rest at Arlington National Cemetery and other military cemeteries across the globe deserve to have the policies that honor them upheld and the appropriate protocols followed, ensuring that their legacies are never forgotten. I agree. I don't. I think that's understood. The fact that you have to say that though um, is a problem. Um, yeah, I'm just disgusted by this. Other candidates have received backlash for featuring the Arlington National Cemetery in their campaign materials. Senator John McCain, during his first presidential campaign in '99, retracted parts of a television ad that had shown him walking, solemnly through the cemetery after the Army said that the campaign did not request permission to film him at the cemetery. And if it had, the request would have been denied because of the prohibition of campaign activity. There you also have it, like this idea that former presidential candidates don't even like Donald Trump. Like former presidential candidates can actually admit when they're wrong, but not Donald Trump. Interesting. And this happened at Arlington National Cemetery. Arlington. That's crazy. All right, let's move on. The next article. Let's see. So this is, oh man, I really don't want to share this. Mm. I actually wanted more information about this because I saw the image and it was very disgusting. But you know, hopefully we have more knowledge about what happened regarding this incident because this is just disgusting. Um, all right. Though the former president has a history of making crass insults about opponents, the repost signal his willingness to continue to shatter long-standing political norms. Yeah, it's true. Former President Donald Trump used his social media website on Wednesday to amplify a crude remark about Vice President Kamala Harris that suggested Ms. Harris traded sexual favors to help her political career. As if she had to go to court for having sex with a porn star. Um, the post by another user on Truth Social. Who's the other user? It was an image of Miss Harris and Hillary Clinton, Mr. Trump's opponent in 2016. The text read, "Funny how blowjobs impacted both their careers differently." We know what the first remark was. And the second was that Miss Harris had a romantic relationship with Willie Brown, former mayor of San Francisco. Um, and that fueled her rise to power. I don't know. It's the second time in 10 days that the former president shared contact from his personal account, making sexually oriented attacks on Ms. Harris. Mr. Trump posted the image as part of a series of 30 reposts he made on Truth Social between 8:02 and 8:32 a.m. So every minute you're making a repost, and 30 of them, including several posts references to the QAnon conspiracy theory movement and its slogan, prosecution or imprisoning of top Democrats and members of the House Committee that investigated January 6, 2021. Really? Attack on the Capitol? I guess on August 18th, Trump shared a video from the Dilly Meme team, a group of right-wing internet content creators that makes pro-Trump videos and memes denigrating opponents, that parodied the Alanis Morissette song "Ironic" to attack Miss Harris as moronic. What? Ooh, in the parody song, the singer says Miss Harris spent her whole damn life down on her knees. At which point a photo of Mr. Brown appears on screen. Jesus Christ. Have these people any shame? The Harris campaign, which is largely ignored Mr. Trump's personal attacks, declined to comment. Wow. Yeah, remember, he was charged with sexual misconduct. Yeah, you're definitely going to alienate black voters like that. It is disgusting, man. I don't know. I feel like if you're running for elections, the person you date doesn't really matter. It matters that the voters believe in you. And so, not to mention, Trump has never held a job beyond, working for his daddy. And so, for him to criticize somebody on how they moved up, whether that's true or not, is just, you know, unless you live in a glass house, don't throw stones. On to the next one. All right, so this one, I was really confused. This is insane. So, I did an article with you all a while back that really talked about like how people associate Trump with being a man. People as in young kids, I think ages 16 to 34 possibly, or maybe 16 to 25, I'm hoping, viewed Trump as a symbol of chivalry or chauvinism. And then here it says Donald Trump courts the Manoverse. So he's actually actively engaging in trying to appeal to people who call themselves men, and they define men by these traditional terms, right? A constellation of YouTubers, pranksters, and streamers who influence young men, is helping Mr. Trump win the bro vote. Yo, man, Kai Cenat, like, don't be that guy. Um, on a sweltering Saturday in the suburbs of Las Vegas, inside a cool casino miles from the Strip, about 100 people lined up to see the Nelk Boys. Most of the fans were young men in their 20s, there to meet their favorite crew of YouTube pranksters and podcasters. Two young women in short shorts and tight tanks handed out Happy Dad hard seltzers, part of the Nelk Boys growing line of merchandise. Okay, the Nelk Boys were inside a packed T-Mobile Arena in the heart of the city as Dana White, the chief executive of the Ultimate Fighting Championship, welcomed a sellout crowd to the latest UFC event. Donald Trump was sitting cage side. Wow. About 2 weeks later, Mr. Trump introduced former President Donald Trump. Mr. White introduced former President Donald Trump at the Republican National Convention. I remember that. Where Senator J.D. Vance of Ohio was announced as Mr. Trump's running mate. The Nelk Boys popped up there, too. Soon they interviewed Mr. Vance on their Full Send podcast. I've never heard of the Full Send podcast. Have you? All right. It's a slice of 18 to 29-year-olds that has long been regarded as unreliable and unreachable, but that Republicans believe may just swing the election this year. I think I said 18 to 34. Man, 18 to 21. Okay. The Nelk Boys, Mr. White, UFC. Dave Portnoy and his Barstool Sports Media Network. Wow. Jake and Logan Paul. Okay. So these are the people that he's trying to recruit. These figures have become a generation's Hannity, Carlson, and Limbaugh, but without the obvious political shroud. The Nelk Boys have played golf with Mr. Trump, been on Air Force One, and visited Mar-a-Lago. They have had the former president on their podcast twice. That's insane. So Forgard and Aaron Steinberg, the two members of the Nelk Boys who conducted interviews, nodded along. After Mr. Trump left, they and the supporting crew laughed and hugged one another, seemingly tickled by proximity access. Let me see. Mr. Trump, unencumbered by filter or rebuttal, riff on the folly of windmills and electric cars, on the invasion of foreign cast-offs and insane asylums, on Hannibal Lecter, on UFOs, on President Vladimir Putin of Russia, Kim Jong-un of North Korea, on the prospect of nuclear war, and on Democrats. Yeah, he don't want this job. He really don't. Millions of voters have seen are these the Nelk Boys here? The bro vote. The Tesla Cybertruck that Mr. Ross, an internet celebrity with millions of followers, had given Mr. Trump during a live stream a couple of days earlier. They said that they follow political happenings through the Nelk Boys and others. They appreciate the informal format of the podcast, they said, without the slick network and veneer of punditry. Well, I mean, They're so straightforward. Mr. Wagner Lang said, they say something and you think that makes a lot of sense. Uh, yeah, this is taking a left turn. The three have followed the Nuck Boys through YouTube stunts and pranks, and recently a slickly produced spoof of The Bachelor. And their tours of college campuses. The Nuck Boys formed near Toronto as teens. Damn Toronto. But the ever shifting troupe is now based in Southern California. NELCA is an acronym representing the original members: K for Kyle, the frontman and last original member. Of what band? They are raunchy and irreverent. Women are little more than adornments to be oogled and teased. It's a bit as if Girls Gone Wild and Impractical Jokers had an entertainment baby later adopted by the Trump family. Mm. Their profile gives their bits lowbrow brashness. And one recent video, the Nuck Boys were watching Kamala Harris's acceptance speech at the Democratic National Convention on huge television when one of them suddenly stands and bashes her face on the screen repeatedly with a sledgehammer. What are we doing here? No longer sticking to sports. NFL quarterback Colin Kaepernick began kneeling for the national anthem to protest police brutality against black men. Mr. Trump and supporters lashed out, giving voice to the anti-woke, sick to sports critique, often heard today to complain when athletes or celebrities endorse democratic causes. Mm. He was on Logan Paul's podcast. His first question: why would Mr. Trump give his time to a country that's trying to take him down? String pull, Mr. Trump spent most of an hour winding his way through theories of election fraud. Country's going to hell. Mm. Masculinity politics. This keeps showing up. Every 4 years, campaigns and political analysts slice the electorate into tiny groups that they believe may swing the vote. Suburban mothers in Michigan, retirees in Arizona, Latinos in Nevada, black voters in Georgia. But the racial gap is a megatrend spanning across swing states and racial groups. It is most prominent among young voters. In a series of New York Times Siena College polls in 6 swing states this month, young men favored Mr. Trump by 13 points, while young women favored Ms. Harris by 38 points. We talked about that, the 51-point gap. Yeah, we talked about this. Yeah, this is disgusting, man. Right? Soon after he was nominated as vice president, Ms. Vance sat among cases of Happy Dad seltzers. Hmm. So apparently they have a niche, a social media niche that they connected to in 2020 during the COVID-19 pandemic. That's what I don't do. They do songs or just podcasts. So the Nuck Boys Full Send podcast became a regular stop for other Trump world figures, including Donald Trump Jr. twice, Tucker Carlson, Ben Shapiro, and Elon Musk. Some athletes, entertainers have been interviewed too, such as Will Smith, not cool, Jelly Roll, Don Lemon, and Deion Sanders. Interesting. In late June, hours before the UFC event in Las Vegas, they were at the Sunset Station Hotel and Casino in Henderson, Nevada, under false, partly cloudy sky pinned on the ceiling amid the electronic dogs and whirs of machines. Devoted fans voiced their support, their shared affinity for the Nelk Boys and the support of Trump. What? Mm. I'm just disgusted by it. Okay. Yeah, this is the dance that I really hate because I love the song. It's, he's trying to dance with Moms of Liberty. I want to see the actual footage. You did expect that. You're lying. All right, so they're trying to say, did I share that with you? Oh shit, I didn't even share it with you. Let me share it my screen. This is what I just watched, and essentially, this is the head of Moms for Liberty just kissing his ass, and then said that she's going to endorse him personally.
Good job, Barbara Walters.
It's just, what? Is that what we're doing? I don't know. It just seems crazy, personally. Um, let me see. Did I get someone in the chat? I think I got someone in the chat. Maybe I don't. I'm sorry. I thought I had someone in the chat chatting with me. Anyway, let's continue. The actual opinion piece is by Michelle Cottle. Trump tried to humanize himself. Better luck next time. Okay. So I'm really curious to know what happened. I think this is her saying, I'm really excited because look, this dude's dancing. And if you look at his face, I don't think he's that excited as she is. Like he's smiling, but I don't think he wants to dance in order to get the presidency. That sounds kind of weird, don't you think? But she looks so happy. Um, okay, nice shoes. Michelle Cottle writes about national politics for opinion, or is that supposed to be Onion? As a host of the podcast Matter of Opinion. Rolling into Labor Day weekend, Donald Trump was able to relax a little on Friday night with a ballroom of smitten women in downtown Washington. He began the week with the controversy over Arlington National Cemetery. That's right. It ended the week with what smelled like a flip-flop on Florida's abortion referendum. He needs votes from women in the Arlington's and abortion stories. Lines aren't exactly winners in that regard. So it's interesting to watch him working to firm up a part of his base as the third annual convention of Moms for Liberty, a conservative group devoted to parental rights. A conservative group devoted to banning books about black people um, and gay folks and any other folks of color. No doubt everyone was in the partying mood. Everywhere you looked, there were women rocking Trump t-shirts and cocktail dresses, cowboy boots and stilettos, ponytails and MAGA hats. For going his usual rallies, the former president had agreed to a special fireside chat with Moms for Liberty to signal how cozy and Oprah-esque this was going to be. A vase of red roses sat on a small table beside his large white armchair, and the one occupied by Tiffany Justice, a co-founder of the group. Did I miss that? Where are these flowers? Is that at the table? So these flowers here? I wanna, let's see. Uh, a vase of red roses sat on a small table beside his large white armchair. They just didn't look like roses to me. Before the event, Miss Justice shared with me her hopes for the encounter. She wanted Mr. Trump to talk parental rights, of course, but she also wanted folks to see a softer side of him. He's a dad, he's a grandfather, he loves his family. Shut up. It was a brilliant opportunity for Team Trump, which is desperate to humanize the candidate, to get him to talk about policy rather than simply slag his political enemies. And of course, the evening kept veering off course precisely as you'd expect. So she's giving him softballs, and okay, Miss Justice pitched plenty of softballs, asserting that it was obvious Mr. Trump loves being a father and grandfather. She invited him to share why he continues to choose to work with our children in business and politics. And you would think it's a great time to talk about the legacy or family bonds or what a crackerjack attack dog Don Jr. is right, wrong. I've always liked it. I don't know that I'll be doing it very much politically. He says, noting how unfair it's been to the kids, especially Ivanka. Great student, beautiful girl, but everyone was mean to her when she was in the White House. Then she even gave up her super profitable women's wear line. And it's not as though she wanted to be the United Nations secretary or ambassador, which he said he wanted her to do. But according to him, she said, Daddy, I don't want to do that. I just want to help people get jobs. Come on, man. I don't want to hear that. He rambled on about how she hired millions of people during the course of her stay before grumpily concluding nothing ever good. It was just very tough. Miss Justice also invited Trump to talk about his mother. She was obviously a very strong woman. Was she hard on you at school? No, she wasn't, said Mr. Trump. That's the problem. I had a great mother, a great father. Very different people, he added, but they had a great marriage that lasted more than 60 years. I said, Pop, I'm not going to be able to beat you with that. Ha ha ha. One might assume that a Moms for Liberty love in Mr. Trump at least pay extra attention to parental rights. One would be mistaken now, to be fair. That praise has become a bloated term applied to Brand regime. All right. Yeah, I don't have any more energy to deal with this. It's just ridiculous, man. I think I'm really excited that we have our debate tonight, and we'll go from there. This is Tuesdays with Trump. Hope you enjoyed, what I shared with you. These are all articles. These are from a reputable source, the New York Times. So everybody else, like, stop believing this stuff on social media, because social media is not real. It's not reporting what's going on. It's very selective of what it does share. I would say right now it's great for communities that, for instance, in Gaza, like, that's the only way I will know what's going on, because the national media doesn't want to show what's going on in Gaza. They're too tied to big business for them to give, true stories. Anyway, I'm out. Peace.